Oh, yeah, she just sent me a text message. She can't make it. She's got a, yeah. I didn't know she was looking at spirit too. And this, your chamber, and two grandkids, and that girl. I knew she knew all that. I know. It's like, you're making a really better person. Well, I think that kind of, I think Michelle gets paid too. It's still a lot. And she's trying to produce it. That's what I'm saying. Sure doesn't.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see everybody here in spite of the rain and everything. Appreciate you guys turning out for our Thursday afternoon meeting of the Rotary Club of Tyler. Good to see everybody here. going to go ahead and get started just a little bit early today. Let me remind you, go ahead and silence your cell phones, put it on vibrate, or just turn the ringer off. And I want to tell you guys a story and ask a question here. A while back, Kim and I went on a Sunday afternoon to see The Music Man. It's a musical. Dr. Allison Camry played Mayor Shin in the play. And the mayor had his eccentricities. Let me just put it that way, okay? It's the second time I've used that since I got here today. But one of the things that the mayor said, that he did this more than once with Mrs. Shin, was he told her that she better watch her phraseology, and he didn't want to hear another poop out of her mouth. Now, when I heard that, I thought, hey, I'll just save that for later. All right?
How'd that work out?
Well, I'm getting ready to tell you how it worked out, okay? All right?
Danger, Will Robinson.
Oh, boy. Oh. Well, anyhow, last night, Kimberly Pascal decided she was going to feel her O's, and it kind of got under my skin. I said, Kim, you better watch your phraseology. I don't want to hear another poop out of you. And she looked at me and she said, if you ever talk to me that way again, I'm going to throw you out of this house. Now, here's the question. When that day inevitably comes, Allison, can I come crash over at your place? Thank you, Allison. I appreciate that. That's what friends are for. It is so good to be here, guys. These meetings just kind of just make everything better. At this time, I want to go ahead and bring up one of our new members, Miss Dareth Bondurant, to lead us in the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you join me in standing, please? You're welcome.
I want to be you when I grow up.
No
transgenders in here. Oh, no transgenders. Dr. Nichols. Let's face our flag. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now I'd like to bring up Larry Wickham for our invocation and introductions.
Thank you, Bill. This is the National Day of Prayer, by the way, and so I think it's appropriate as we have our invocation today that we remember that and that we think especially about our nation and all the challenges that we're facing right now. I don't know if you watch the news at all, but there are some things going on in our country that are rather disturbing. We need some help from above to resolve all of this, and so I hope you will join with me as we ask the Lord's blessing on our meeting today, also in asking his blessing on our land. Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, we do come to thank you for the opportunity to be here today. We thank you for these Rotarians who are gathering, men and women who are committed to service above self, who offer themselves in various ways throughout this community in the hopes of making it a better place to live. how we thank you for the work that's done, for the many lives that are touched through the efforts of this group and others like it. We do pray that you would just bless this meeting today, Father, that you would just encourage everyone who's here, that you would help us to have a great vision for what we can do in the world and what difference we can make. And we do pray especially today, Father, that you would bless our land. We are so divided. We are so confused. We are so confounded. We are so disturbed in so many different areas. And we know that that you are not the author of confusion, but that our enemy, the evil one, is the author of confusion and division. So we pray that you would pour out your spirit on our land and that you would heal it. We thank you so much for loving us, for being a part of our lives, for meeting us every day, every moment of every day, and leading us. And we thank you for allowing us to be led here today to this meeting. And I ask my prayer today in the name of my Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Please be seated. It is a joy to have you here at the Rotary Club of Tyler today. We have a number of guests with us. I'm going to just kind of go around the room, and if you have a guest with you today, would you just raise your hand? David Nichols has guests today.
A couple of guests would be Jeff Austin, who used to be in the banking business, and Thomas Clyde, who used to be in the newspaper business.
All right. We're glad to have you guys with us today. How about in the back here? Any guests at this table?
I've got one, Larry.
Bill?
Yeah, Tucker, stand up. This is Tucker Sullivan. He and his wife just recently moved to Tyler from Weatherford, Oklahoma. Tucker is the new youth minister at our church, Westover Church of Christ. He's doing a bang-up job. He'll be speaking at our pulpit on Sunday. And Kim and I had the pleasure of going out to eat with them. Tucker and his wife, Linda, are just a real nice young couple. Going to be an asset to Tyler. He may not be a Rotarian, but he's got the heart of a Rotarian. We're glad to have you.
Well, he may become one. So we're glad to have you with us, Tucker. And by the way, we need some ministerial influence at this table for sure today. So thank you for being here. All home folks back here. How about in the back corner? All home folks. Any other guests that I'm missing anywhere? Well, thank you all for being here today. We especially thank you guests who have come. We hope you'll enjoy the meeting and come back many times. Thank you.
All right, Larry, thanks so much. And let me see here. Next, we have got birthdays and anniversaries. Let's start with Rotary birthdays for May. May 10th, David Jones and Jim Perkins. May the 15th, Justin Holt. May 19th, yours truly. And May 23rd, Christy Hill. So this is the second to last time that you guys will get to hear me sing. But let's sing happy birthday. Yeah, y'all are breathing a sigh of relief about that. But let's all sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Rotarian. Happy birthday to you. All righty. In Rotary anniversaries for May. May the 3rd, Lisa Chatterton, 10 years. Bill Pascal, 4 years. Jim Perkins, 10 years. May the 9th, Denise Miller for 1 year. Yeah, there you go, Denise. May the 12th, Mary Birch, 11 years. May the 17th, Holly McFarland for 10. May the 22nd, George Roberts Jr. for 14. And May 29th, past president Holly Lewis for 19 years. Big hand for him, folks. Yeah. And I think our pianist, she is out of the conference. I want to thank our greeters, Pamela Walters and Lisa Norton. Let's give it up for them, please. And now, for one of the favorite times of the meeting, we bring up the owner of KTBB Radio, Mr. Paul Gleiser, for This Week in History.
Thank you, Bill. Today, the 5th of May, in 1961, U.S. astronaut Alan B. Shepard was launched from Pad 5 at Cape Canaveral, Florida, atop a small Redstone tactical missile on a suborbital space flight that landed 15 minutes later in the Atlantic Ocean, covered about 150 miles. Shepard thus became the first American in space. The flight had originally been scheduled for April of 1960, but was postponed 6 times, allowing Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin to get into space 3 weeks earlier on April the 12th. On the 6th of May, 1937, sporting a swastika on its tail, the German Zeppelin Hindenburg erupted into flames, was completely destroyed as it attempted to tie to its mooring mast at Lakehurst Naval Air Station in New Jersey. 36 people, including 1 ground worker out of 97 on board, were killed. On the 7th of May, 1945, speaking of swastikas, at 2:41 in the morning, German General Alfred Jodl surrendered on behalf of the German military to Allied forces in Reims, France. He would go on to be tried in Nuremberg for war crimes. He was executed in Nuremberg on October the 16th, 1946. Then the next day, on 8th of May, 1945, Allied forces formally accepted the unconditional surrender of the German government, because you had to have the military surrender and the government surrender, marking the end of the war in Europe. Hundreds of thousands of German soldiers began attempting to flee to the west in order to be captured by American forces rather than by the Soviet army. On the 9th of May, 1914, following a joint resolution of Congress from the previous day, which happened as a result of the efforts of social activist Anna Jarvis of West Virginia, President Woodrow Wilson issued a presidential proclamation setting forth the second Sunday of May every year to be celebrated in the United States as Mother's Day. The greeting card industry applauded. The subsequent rapid commercialization of the holiday eventually led Jarvis in 1943 to organize efforts to rescind the holiday that she had promoted. On the 10th of May, 1865, after having been on the run, Confederate States President Jefferson Davis was captured by Northern forces near Danville, Virginia. He was charged with treason, but was never tried. He was released on bail in May of 1867, 2 years later, with several wealthy Northerners putting up a portion of the money. And finally, on the 11th of May, 1934, as a result of the severe drought and the overplowing of fields once covered in prairie grass, a mammoth dust storm swept over the Great Plains, carrying 350 million tons of topsoil east as far as 300 miles out into the Atlantic Ocean. The storm would prove to be the genesis of what came to be called the Dust Bowl. Birthdays in the coming week, 3 tomorrow, starting with actor George Clooney. He turns 61. Baseball great Willie Mays turns 91 tomorrow. Rock and roller Bob Seger turns 77 tomorrow. Rock and roller Billy Joel turns 73 on Monday. And actress Candice Bergen turns 76 also on Monday, and that's This Week in History.
All right, thanks, Paul. Appreciate that. Now, Rotary business. Hand Up Network Volunteer Day is May 14th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Sign-up sheets making its way around. And then we've got our district training assembly on the 21st in Longview from 9 to 2 p.m. And we've got our international convention coming to Houston, June 4th through 8th. And Holly needs your volunteer hours. Please email them to her. And then on May 12th, next week, we have a very exciting program that I'm looking forward to. That will be our state senator, the Honorable Brian Hughes. And now, let's bring up the world's greatest president-elect and his honor, the mayor himself, Dr. Allison Camry, to introduce this week's speaker.
You outdo yourself every week, Bill. What can I say? You do your best. This will be mercifully short. I want to present to you as our speaker, former president and longtime member, Paul Gleiser.
It's been so long since we've gotten together like this. This program, if I can turn there we go. This program I put together, did this, some of you may remember last year, the same program. And I did it because it dawned on me that the cultural shift that's taking place, we're losing the celebrities that everybody knows, the iconic celebrities that are universally known. my parents knew all of the rock and roll artists, didn't like them, but they knew who they were. There were names in the culture that were universally known, if not certainly not necessarily universally adopted by every demographic in the culture. That whole generation is fading away. So I started putting together this program, and it's called In Memoriam, the top 21 cultural icons who left us in 2021. It is presented by KTBB Radio because, it's a shameless chance at a plug. Here we go. So we began with the first, this is done in chronological order in 2021, beginning with number 1.
1 ball and no strikes. Aaron waiting. The outfield deep and straight away. Fastball is a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone. Baseball, what a marvelous moment for Atlanta and the state of Georgia. What a marvelous moment for the country and the world.
That wasn't just any home run. That was a home run hit by Hank Aaron, Hammerin' Hank. He died on January 22nd at the age of 87. He was the first, as you just saw, to break Babe Ruth's home run record of 714 home runs, a number that a lot of people thought would never be eclipsed. He played for 23 seasons from 1954 to 1976. He finished his career with 755 home runs. That record would stand until Barry Bonds broke it under somewhat, The Major League Baseball Hank Aaron Award was created in his honor to honor the top offensive player in each league. And Hammerin' Hank was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1982. His first year of eligibility. Hank Aaron died in 2021 at the age of 87. Here's number 2.
I miss my home and family and my fireside and the cats. I like cats. They're quieter than children. I like everything about cats except their singing voices. We have one. A Presbyterian soprano. She's partial to hymns. Sings Old 100 on a picket fence every night out back of the house. It's useless to shout at her. She takes it for applause and tries harder. I have often thought how beautiful she would be in death.
Hal Holbrook died on the 23rd of January. He was 95 years old at the time of his death. That role of Mark Twain, Mark Twain Tonight, he created as a result of an honors project he did while he was studying at Denison University. He first performed as Mark Twain in 1954. He did it for the last time in 2006. He made a career out of being Mark Twain, in addition to being a fine actor generally. He had a really, really wonderful career. He was married to Dixie Carter, and he was designing women fans. Look at Dareth back there smiling. They were married from 1954 until the time of her death in 2010. He's buried next to her in McLemoresville, Tennessee. Hal Holbrook gone at 95. Here's number 3.
When you get the idea to write a book and you go to the publishers, Word Publishing is a famous religious publisher, maybe the most famous.
Yes, well, they're owned by the American Broadcasting Company, and I went there because of them.
Didn't somebody say, Billy, death is something people don't like to talk about or read about, and certainly don't like in the title of books?
Yes.
Unless it's fiction.
I would say that 2 or 3 of the editors felt that it was not the kind of a book that I ought to be writing.
Why'd you write?
But I felt that the Lord wanted me to write it, because we face death every day. It's the most democratic thing in the whole world. It brings us all to the same level. Everybody's going to die. And as Bernard Shaw says, it's the greatest statistic in the world, 1 out of every 1.
Larry King died on January 23rd. He was 87 years old. He was born Lawrence Harvey Zeiger in New York to Orthodox Jewish parents who had immigrated from Belarus. He started as a janitor at WAHR radio in Miami. I actually started better than that, but I didn't finish is great. Yeah, that's true. He conducted more than 50,000 interviews in his 56-year career. He eschewed college in order to pursue his desire for a career in radio. That's common among broadcasters. Well, that happens a lot. We're going to talk about one here in a minute that did the same thing. And his overnight radio show, Larry King Live on the Mutual Broadcasting System, was heard on over 400 affiliate radio stations. And that paved the way. That nationally syndicated show wound up paving the way for somebody else we're going to talk about here just a little bit. Here is, go baby. All right, hold on.
What happened to Mutual Broadcasting System?
It was bought by Westwood One and folded in. They also bought the NBC Radio Network brand and folded it all together, and they kind of disappeared. That's what happened. I wish that weren't happening. Okay, I'll do it this way. Here is, I have no idea what's going on. Let's try it again. Here's number 4.
Phyllis, how were you too much of a real woman? I don't like to brag, Rhoda, but Lars and I had an incredible love life. Would you like to know how incredible? Oh, gosh, Phil, I'm going to tell you how incredible it was. I think Lars summed it up best when he turned to me one night and said, Phyllis, jag har slutat.
Cloris Leachman died on January 27th. She lived to 94. She competed in the 1946 Miss America pageant. She studied under Elia Kazan at the Actors Studio in New York. She won an Academy Award for her performance in 1974 for The Last Picture Show. Who saw it? Who's old enough? Okay, all right. All you guys will help you out when the show's over. Won multiple Emmy Awards for her role as Phyllis Lindstrom on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. A lot of the Mary Tyler Moore Show in this program today, as you're going to see, was since she was also part of Mel Brooks's ensemble cast for all the stuff that he did. Who will forget Nurse Diesel in High Anxiety? Cloris Leachman, dead at the age of 94. Here's number 5.
Everything seemed to work out today. Why is it some days everything works out and some days nothing works out? Huh? I guess the good Lord is with me today. I wonder why the Lord isn't with us every day. It would be so nice if he was. Yeah. Maybe then we wouldn't appreciate so much the days when he's on our side. Or maybe he's always on our side. We just don't even know it, huh? Maybe I had to wait 20 years cooped up in that city before I could appreciate getting back here. Blessed assurance. Hey, Jesus is mine.
Cecily Tyson died January 28th. She was 96. Brilliant actress. She's known for her portrayal of strong African-American women. Her breakout role was as Rebecca Morgan in the movie Sounder, 1972. That's a fabulous movie. Won an Academy Award, won 1 Tony Award, 3 Emmy Awards during her career. She was married to jazz great Miles Davis from 1981 to 1989. And she appeared or starred in 30 films, dozens of television shows over a nearly 70-year career. Cecily Tyson left us at age 96. Here's number 6.
Jason Robards was one of my great friends.
Jason Robards, one of the great actors, stage and stage
actors, particularly. Yeah. And we'd talk to each other between the lines as to figure out where we were going to have a drink after the show.
Wait, you're doing it straight. You're on a Broadway show, you're on the stage, you're great actors, and you're out there saying your lines. And in between, when you don't have a line, you're talking about where you're going to go get a drink.
And suddenly you say something, and then you say, "Where will it be tonight? PJ Clark's? Okay." And you continue on.
Really?
And then the audience never hears, because of course we're so bad when we actually say the right lines that they couldn't care less anyway.
Christopher Plummer died on February 5th. He was 91. His stage debut happened in 1948 in Ottawa, Canada, appearing with fellow fledgling actor William Shatner in the production. He hated The Sound of Music, for which he received critical acclaim, calling it so awful, sentimental, and gooey, and he never referred to it by its name. He called it that movie. He just hated the movie. His last film role was Knives Out in 2019, a critical and box office success. In his career, he received 1 Academy Award, 2 Tonys, and 3 Emmy Awards. Christopher Plummer, gone at age 91. Here's number 7.
31 years. I think Mary Matt 1 years. I mean, it's flat out amazing. And you know, time it's like everything. Time has raced by on certain things, and other days it's just been slow and plodding. But man, am I blessed. We all are. It's such a great opportunity to be able to talk about these things that really matter, the future of the country with so many millions of people. It's really, really, really been an honor, and it's ongoing. It's there's still nothing I do, Sean, that I get more enjoyment out of than this.
Since 1997, November of 1997, on KTVB, you've heard the Pretenders play that theme song. Rush Limbaugh died on February 17th of 2021. He was only 70 years old. He dropped out of college to be a disc jockey at WIXZ in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. He got fired from that job. He got fired from 5 other jobs as a disc jockey, moved back in with his parents in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. He worked part-time for the Kansas City Royals in group sales in order to make some money. But he in a critical moment, he replaced Morton Downey Jr. on KFBK radio in Sacramento, and a guy that I know real well, former ABC executive Ed McLaughlin, heard him in Sacramento and said, this might work. And on the Larry King model, said, you know, this national show worked at night, it'll work in the daytime. If Oprah can have a national show on television and everybody watch it, a national radio show on the daytime will work. A lot of people didn't think so. But Ed did, moved him to WABC New York and started calling radio stations trying to syndicate the show, one of which was KTBB, and I didn't own it at the time. And the guy who did own it never returned Ed's call. And Rush wound up on 2 terrible little AM radio stations, one licensed to Tyler, KYZS, one licensed to Longview, KEES. Between the 2, they kind of covered the market. They're terrible little AMs. And I bought those stations for $1 million. I just sold KYZS for $100,000, but I bought them for $1 million so I could get Rush. And the way I value the purchase, I bought Rush Limbaugh for $1 million, and they threw 2 AM radio stations at no additional charge. And that's exactly how I valued that purchase. And I am grateful to this day for the difference that Rush Limbaugh made in really reinventing the whole genre of talk radio. He has put a lot of food on my table. Rush Limbaugh gone at the age of 70. Number 8.
Are you sure you and I haven't met just recently, Duchess?
Certainly not.
We never met.
Never.
Didn't come to my room last night?
Absolutely not.
Would you mind sticking your tongue in my ear just once to make sure?
Sure.
Stranger, you're looking for trouble. I never have to look for trouble, mister. It's always right there, real handy when I get up in the morning.
That is actor and great comedic actor George Siegel, died March 23rd. He was 87 years old. That scene's from a movie called The Duchess and the Dirtwater Fox. It is a howlingly funny movie. It is a very, very funny movie. He was born in New York City to secular Jewish parents. He graduated from Columbia University with a Bachelor of Arts in Drama. You know, he's one of the few actors that actually graduates with a degree. Most of them just have the talent to go on. He was an accomplished banjo player. Nobody really knew that, but he was a very, very good banjo player. He appeared in 65 films, was a series regular on 3 TV series over a 66-year career. George Siegel, dead. Number 9.
You mentioned that the 2 bombs had already been dropped on Japan at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Do you think it actually took that to make the Japanese surrender, or do you think eventually they would have surrendered anyway?
Well, I think they would have surrendered anyway, but I mean, a lot later, because even after the 2 bombs went off, and if you read the account, you'll find that there was no agreement about the imperial in the cabinet or the imperial council. And it was only when the emperor virtually ordered them all to shut up and to accept the surrender, the terms that had been published at Potsdam.
Philip, Prince of Edinburgh, died on April 9th. He was 99 years old when he died. He was born in Greece to Greek and Danish royal families. He was exiled when he was only 18 months old. He joined the British Royal Navy at age 18, rose to commander, and served with distinction. He began corresponding with young Princess Elizabeth, the daughter of George VI of England of Great Britain, at age 13. He relinquished his Greek and Danish royal titles in order to be granted permission to marry Elizabeth, and on his wedding day, his father-in-law, George VI, created him Duke of Edinburgh on the day that he married Elizabeth. Prince Philip, dead at the age of 99. Here's number 10.
We used to say that the strength of the show was in the corridors of the hospital. As soon as it went away from the hospital, it got, in my view, a little shaky. But as long as it was in the hospital, it was dynamite, because they dealt with subjects that had never been dealt with before. And in the corridors, particularly with these handheld cameras, the moving shots, and then going into these rooms and out of the rooms, gave the thing a very alive.
That's Norman Lloyd. He died on May 11th. He lived to 106. And listen to this career. He had a 98-year career, radio, stage, film, and television. His final film, Trainwreck, was released after he reached the age of 100. He married stage actress Peggy Craven and was married to her for 75 years until her death in 2011. Predeceased him by 10 years. He played Dr. Daniel Auslander in 132 episodes of the acclaimed TV series St. Elsewhere. How many fans? It was a great show. Didn't have that huge an audience, but a critical success. It was a really, really great show. And that's Daniel. That's Norman Lloyd. Number 11.
Well, anyway, she was worried because I wasn't home on time. She called the night school, and they said they never heard of me.
So she found out you were driving a cab anyway, right?
Worse than that. Marie doesn't believe I was driving a cab at all these nights. Marie is convinced that I am having an affair with someone.
Oh, that is worse.
With you.
Oh, more worse.
That's Gavin MacLeod. He died May 29th. He was 90 years old. His first film role was with Susan Hayward in I Want to Live, 1958, another very good movie. He went on to appear in 22 more films through 2009. He appeared in 73 episodes of McHale's Navy. Anybody remember McHale's Navy? 73 episodes of McHale's Navy from 62 to 64. Then he played Murray Slaughter in 168 episodes of the Mary Tyler Moore Show from 1970 to 1977. And this theme this is going to repeat. When production stopped on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, he literally walked across the lot and began doing The Love Boat. He did 250 episodes of The Love Boat from 1977 to 1986. That's the second reference we've had in this program to the Mary Tyler Moore Show. There's more coming. Gavin MacLeod, dead at the age of 90. Here's number 12.
Raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling, so I just did.
Billy Joe Thomas died May 29th, age 78. I've got a personal story about BJ. He was born in Hugo, Oklahoma. He grew up in Houston. His first million-selling record was not Raindrops, which everybody associates with him. It was I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. That came out in 1966. 2 years later, he did Hooked on a Feeling, big hit for him. And then he did Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, which appeared in the 1969 film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. There is no reason in the world for that song in the movie. It does not advance the plot. When the scene's coming, there's no rainfall. There's no reason for that song in the movie, but it was a huge hit. And my story about B.J. Thomas, he lived in Arlington, and my wife was working for the Dallas Stars. She put on the show with the Dallas Stars, the Jumbotron show, the stuff that happened on the ice during intermission. My wife did all of that. And we bumped into BJ, and I knew him, she didn't, and she was looking for anthem singers for the playoffs that year. Said, "Will you come sing the national anthem?" He said, "Sure, I'll do it." And he came, and the Stars won. And the team said, "Okay, we want him now for the playoffs." So the team was picking the anthem singer. So B.J. Thomas sang at most playoff games for the Dallas Stars for 3 seasons. Just a heck of a sweet guy. He'd been through a lot in his life. He died at age 78. And by the way, won 6 Grammy Awards. B.J. Thomas gone at age 78. Here's number 13.
That is the natural order of things today. That is the atomic and subatomic and galactic structure of things today. And you have meddled with the primal forces of nature. And you will atone. Am I getting through to you, Mr. Beale?
Anybody remember that movie? Call it out. Network. Ned Beatty died at age 83 on June the 13th. He had a 5-decade career as a supporting actor. He'd appeared in more than 160 films. He was dubbed the hardest working man in Hollywood. His film debut was alongside Burt Reynolds and John Voight in Deliverance. I bet a lot of you remember that movie and remember that scene. And he never regretted playing only supporting roles. He never had a leading role in his entire career. He said, "I feel sorry for people in starring position. It's unnatural." He was a happy guy being a supporting actor and working all the time. Ned Beatty gone at age 83. Here's number 14.
So I was. Yeah, you could play on Broadway for 5 years, every night, make one picture and probably play to 20 or 30 million people all over the world. That's right. Yeah. That's right. You could come here and nobody cares at all. That's right. You've been in pictures. It's a fantastic thing to be on every night at 11:30. You don't care if people are watching or not, because by that hour people are busy. And if they're not busy, they're not having such a great life anyway. If a person has got nothing to do but watch your show 12 o'clock, he's not doing so happy.
Jackie Mason died July 24th. He was 93 years old. He was born Yakov Moshe Matzah to Orthodox Jewish parents who had immigrated from Minsk, USSR, settled in, of all places, Sheboygan, Wisconsin. At age 25, having graduated from City College of New York, he was ordained as a rabbi, as was his father, as was his grandfather, as was his great-grandfather. It's what this family did. They became rabbis. He began telling jokes at synagogue, and the Baptists started showing up because the jokes were funny. And he arrived at something. He resigned as a rabbi when his father died to become a comedian because somebody had to make a living, as he said. It paid better. Jackie Mason dead at age 93. Here's number 15. That is Charlie Watts. He died on August 24th. He was 80 years old. He originally trained as a graphic artist, and he designed most of the album covers for the Rolling Stones. He developed an appreciation for jazz and joined the band Blues Incorporated, where he took up the drums, unusual for great musicians. Great musicians usually start when they're very, very small children. He joined the Rolling Stones in 1963, played with the band for 68 years. And going back to what I said at the start of this program, there will probably never, ever be a rock and roll band that is still relevant, still out filling up stadiums 68 years after they start with the same drummer. That is probably never going to happen again. Charlie Watts is regarded as one of the greatest drummers of all time. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1989. Charlie Watts gone at age 80. Number 16.
Thanks, Lou. Good show tonight, guys. See if you can read this. You're fried. You're fired!
That is Ed Asner. So speaking of the Mary Tyler Moore Show, he died on August 29th. He was 91. He was born in Kansas City, Missouri, to Ashkenazi Jewish parents who immigrated from Ukraine. He began acting while he was attending at the University of Chicago. He landed the role of Lou Grant, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, in 1970 when that show started. The character, here again, Mary Tyler Moore Show goes out of production. The character Lou Grant was spun off as a one-hour drama of the same name in 1977. He and Gavin MacLeod took what they did. They just kept working with seamlessly after the end of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And that character, Lou Grant, quit being funny and became a serious actor. Do you remember the show? It was.
Yeah, I like it.
He was a newspaper publisher, and he was a newspaper editor. He worked for Mrs. Pensham, the publisher, and they had a fraught relationship. It was a good show. Ed Asner dead at 91. Oh, by the way, he won more Emmy Awards, 7 Emmy Awards, more than any other TV actor in history. Ed Asner gone at 91. Here's 17.
At the White House this week, President Clinton officially came out against same-sex marriages. What's more, the president said he is not too crazy about opposite-sex marriages either.
That's Norm Mcdonald. He died September 14th. He was only 61 years old. He was born to school teacher parents in Quebec City, Canada. He first tried stand-up in Ottawa in 1985, said he'd never do it again. He hated how that went. He had to be talked into it, and he did. He was the third anchor man for Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update. That's a segment that has appeared in every episode of the show. He was diagnosed with leukemia in 2012, didn't disclose it for fear of how people would perceive him and treat him, but he finally succumbed to leukemia at the young age of 61 on September 14th. Norm Mcdonald. Number 18.
Isn't it rich?
The composer of that song, Stephen Sondheim, died November 26th. He was 91. He professionally debuted in 1957 in collaboration with Leonard Bernstein as the lyricist for West Side Story. He wrote music and lyrics for A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. In 1962, he won 6 Tony Awards, including Best Musical. He is credited with having reinvented the American musical. Sondheim has received 1 Academy Award, 8 Grammys, and 7 Tony Awards. Stephen Sondheim died at age 91. Number 19. Michael Nesmith died at age 78 on December 10th. He was born in Houston. He moved to Dallas after his mother divorced her second husband, his father, in 1975, and he went to Thomas Jefferson High School. His mom invented liquid paper. Remember that?
Yeah.
His mother invented liquid paper correction fluid.
I was going to make a trivia question out of that next week.
Too bad. Done. I got you. Okay? You've been upstaged. He was given a guitar by his mother, and here's the interesting story about the Monkees. The Monkees was never intended to be a recording act. The Monkees was intended to be a TV show about a recording act. But Michael Nesmith said, well, why don't we make solids? Why don't we be a recording act? And so Michael Nesmith drove the idea of actually releasing records, like Valerie, that song that you just heard played in the 1960s. He was a guitarist and a songwriter for the Monkees from 1965 to 1970. Here's something you don't know about him. After the Monkees was over, his production company was instrumental in inventing the music video. Michael Nesmith went a long way toward creating the music video, kind of his idea. Michael Nesmith, dead at the age of 78. Here's number 20.
Boom, the ball's there. Boom, we cross him. Boom. You know, like they do in wrestling. Boom, boom, right there. That's a wham block. Like this is a father bucket. This is a mother bucket. And since the last game, they had a baby bucket. They have no idea where we are, who we are, where we're coming from, or who we're throwing to.
That kid's going to be a nose tackle. It's going to be a two-gap. You know, the great thing about being a football player is you don't have to take a shower to go to work. You know, seagulls have a pretty good life, don't they? They always live at the beach. Yeah, they got another good life, blimps. Yeah. They always get to go to games and watch everything. I think if you come back in another life, I'd like to be either a blimp or a seagull.
John Madden died on December 28th. He was 85 years old. He earned a Master of Education at Cal Polytech, where he won all conference honors as an offensive tackle. He was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in 1958, blew out his knee at training camp. He never played the down of NFL football. But he did hang around with Eagles coach Norm Van Brocklin, and he became a student of the game by watching films. He really studied the game at the knee of Norm Van Brocklin. He went on to become a head coach and won Super Bowl 11 as head coach of the Oakland Raiders, being an incredible student of the game. He led him into his broadcasting career, which began in 1979, spanned 29 years on CBS, Fox, ABC, and NBC. I think one of the most fun color analysts that ever lived. He was just, even if you didn't like football, it was fun to watch a game called by John Madden. He was just a lot of fun. John Madden died on December 28th, age 85. Then to round out the year of 2021.
Ned, why do you want to be on our show? You're the happy homemaker.
Yes, and the happy homemaker is very unhappy.
About what?
I have done that show every day since July 1963. You know what that means, Mary? It means I've been smiling for 11 years.
I never thought of it that way.
I want a job where I don't have to smile. I don't like smiling all the time. It's against my nature.
Sue-Ann, you're smiling.
I am. Right now?
Uh-huh.
I can't tell anyone.
Betty White died December 31st. She was 99 years old. If she could have lasted another 8 days, she'd have lived to be 100. She was dubbed the First Lady of Television. She became a staple panelist on TV game shows. How she got into the business, including Password, The Match Game, and Hollywood Squares. The Password show was where it really had a big impact on her life because she married the host, Alan Ludden. They met on the set in 1963. She was married to him until his death. And she created Sue-Ann Nivens on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and then later Rose Nyland on the Golden Girls. She won 6 Emmy Awards and 3 American Comedy Awards. And as I promised, a whole lot of Mary Tyler Moore in this presentation. And that's the list of the 21, but there are others that we just don't have time to do, so we'll just go down the list. Tommy Lasorda died on January 7th. He's a great baseball manager, the LA Dodgers. Mary Wilson died on March the 6th. Roger Mudd, CBS and later ABC, died on March the 9th. Donald Rumsfeld, former Secretary of Defense, held that job twice, died on June 29th. Ron Popeil, who actually, somebody, you bought one, didn't you? Admit it. You bought one of those things he sold on TV. He died July 28th. Don Everly of the Everly Brothers died August 24th. Former Secretary of State and former Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Colin Powell, died October 18th. And former Senator and failed presidential candidate Bob Dole died on December 5th. So far in 22, Dan Reeves, former Dallas Cowboy, coach of the Denver Broncos, January 1st. Great actor Sidney Poitier died on the 6th of January. Bob Saget, Full House, died on January 9th. The rock and roll singer Meatloaf died on January 20th. William Hurt, great actor, March the 13th. Former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright died on March 23rd of this year. Former Senator Orrin Hatch died on April 23rd. And Naomi Judd just died the other day in 2022. And we would be remiss if we didn't make note of our fellow Rotarians who died in 2021. John Presley left us on February the 8th, and Jim Wimberly left on April 27th. And here's the thing about death. The only difference between death and taxes is that death doesn't get worse every time Congress meets. So goes the wisdom of Will Rogers, and that's our program. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Don't run off, Paul. Well, here, take this one. I don't want to hang on to it. You take it. That's for those of you that don't know, that is a certificate that we give each week to our speaker. And what we do is we donate a book to the Literacy Council in the name of the speaker. They've got a whole row of shelves, donated to in order of Paul Gleiser. So now it's time for the Ace of Diamonds Award. JB, how much do we have in the pot this week?
We have $2,391 and 41 cards.
Okay, get Paul to draw a card, the ticket there. Everybody check your little blue ticket there.
All right, it is. It is 015.
015. Who has Austin Luce? Austin Luce has it. All right, Austin, make us proud. Draw that card. What you got there? Okay, not even close. Well, guys, it's been great seeing everybody. Anybody have anything else that we need to add? Okay, well, listen, this week, everybody watch your phraseology, as always. Let's go ahead and stand and recite the four-way test of the things that we think, say, or do as Rotarians. First. Is it true? Second. Is it fair to all concerned? Third. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And we are dismissed.